Your team as well. How much did you enjoy the game? It was a tactical battle, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, I didn't enjoy that opening 30 minutes, that's for sure. A bit surprised with the way Potter set up, especially given the way Man United played and performed, probably their best performance in a long while against Spurs midweek. So it really surprised me. We played the same way as Tottenham. Yeah. What I liked about Potter is he showed how tactically good he is. He adapted really early on in the game, and I think that allowed Chelsea to get back into the game. They should have been a couple of goals down before that decision was made.
We've seen it a lot with Graham Potter. He's changed his formation, he's changed his personnel regularly already since he's been at Chelsea. But let's look at the team that he selected then. And you're saying you were surprised at the way he set his side up. I guess the big surprise was he went 3-4-3 and left himself outnumbered in the middle of the pitch. So Fernandes, Casemiro and Eriksen, certainly in the opening half an hour, had a lot of joy, didn't they, against Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho?
They did, and being a midfielder myself, it's the worst when you come up against a midfielder that outnumber you. You don't know whether to sit in, let them have it, or whether you go and press and then you get popped. So really difficult to play against a free-in midfield. And as I said, you're not playing against any players here. You're playing against top-class players that will pick you off if you give them time.
So let's have a look at the clips then in that opening half an hour. And as you say, 2 against 3 for Chelsea, and it was difficult for them. They couldn't get close to anybody. If we look at it even straight away, you've got United midfield 3 and Chelsea's midfield 2. And it's difficult for them because there's always a spare man. At the moment, it's Casemiro in that deeper position who's the spare man at the moment. But all it takes is a little bit of movement, forward, backwards, sideways, and then somebody else becomes free. And let's play it on straight away. And you see Man United trying to play out from the back. And if I just pause it now all of a sudden, just by United having a couple of passes, they've got 3 men free. So there's your 3 midfield players, and the 2 midfield players for Chelsea don't know what to do. That's exactly what you're talking about. You don't know where to go. Pushed in, you don't know whether to drop off, you don't know where to go tight. It's really difficult when you're 2 against 3.
It is really difficult. I think if we go back to the initial pass before De Gea gives it out, I think if we go where we said about the 2 midfielders outnumbered here, I actually think if you look at Jorginho's position here, sorry, let me just highlight him. Let me just highlight Jorginho. I don't think he actually trusts the press. And what I mean by that, the gaps between the 2 of them here, if you look at the 2 midfielders here, massive. For a midfield 2 against 3, massive. And although they outnumber us, I actually don't think, if we look at the Man United spare midfielder here, he's going to get the ball in this scenario.
No.
If I just get rid of this, the minute they start to play the ball, if I play this on, the minute they start to play it here, pause that, you can already see. Let me highlight Jorginho here. You can already see the panic.
So he's
turned his back on play. He doesn't know whether to get back into a shape, and he's lost trust in
Is that communication? Is that communication from behind? Is that Loftus-Cheek saying, "I need a bit of help here"? Because Loftus-Cheek's thinking, "I don't know what to do either. I've got Bruno Fernandes to my right-hand side. I've got Casemiro ahead. I need a bit of help. I need someone to come alongside me."
Yeah, and potentially, normally it's the deep line midfielder that would give that communication. Yeah. So I would imagine that's what's happened. But Jorginho in this scenario isn't even looking at the ball, is he? And then if we play it on,
and actually, if we just highlight, that's who wants the ball. Mate, you can see him. Hit me now. I'm in space. Loftus-Cheek has left me. I'm in space. Try and hit this ball.
And to think he was marked moments ago, and that pass wasn't an option. It was just the fact that the communication and now the confusion in midfield. But if we play it on, I think this is where now they're not in any sort of shape. This is where you said 3 midfielders will spare. So even on if it does make it to, I think it's Fernandes in the pocket. If it does make it to him, he's under no pressure. Yeah. But then if it goes to a second phase, you have 2 free players.
It's actually a pretty poor pass from David De Gea, and they almost cut it out. Poor touch.
It's the second phase, isn't it, where they can pick up second balls being outnumbered.
Well, now all of a sudden, you're talking about the space, and this is exactly where United are looking to get Bruno Fernandes in. Space in behind those 2 central midfielders for Chelsea, running at Chelsea's back line. And he's got himself into that area now, unmarked, where the 2 Chelsea players are looking to push in on Casemiro and Eriksen. All it takes is 2 passes. 1 to Casemiro, through to Bruno Fernandes, and United are running at them. Pop it out, and by the time it gets to this point now, that's Chelsea, 3 players out the game through 2 Man United passes. And Man United have got 5 against Chelsea's 4, running at their back 4, just in 2 passes.
And the problem, even if you look at that, the problem with that is that if we just highlight, let me just take here, if I go back a tiny bit before I go to Trevor Chalobah here, pulls it here. Trevor, he can't engage. So he can't engage the ball here
because of the runner of Sancho.
Sorry, so let me just erase that bit there. Because of this run here.
Yeah.
So now they're under pressure. Now they have a runner at the back line. They're having to drop back and retreat, and then they've got Shaw out on the left-hand side under no pressure with a front five running at a Chelsea back four. So, yeah.
Play it on, and it ends up in a shot. Luke Shaw, as a go from distance, ends up going wide. But it was a problem throughout that opening half an hour. Now all of a sudden they've dropped in. The two Chelsea midfield players have dropped in. They've dropped a little bit deeper because you say they're not sure about the press. They don't know whether they should be pushing in on Casemiro or whether actually, and I guess probably the right call is to leave him as the spare man rather than Eriksen and Fernandes in behind you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're probably better off protecting your back line rather than leaving them exposed by going to try and pushing on Casemiro and getting played around.
The only thing I would have thought in this formation from Chelsea is because you look how many bodies they've committed. If I just get rid of what's on the screen, if you look at how many bodies they've committed to this side of the pitch, the only defensive organisation I feel like they could have done is maybe Mason Mount on the opposite side, just go on the high shoulder of Casemiro, just to be a threat for him. Because if you look at the space, if the ball goes into this area here, that Casemiro and a player like Casemiro, with time and space on the ball, the type of passes he can pick, if allowed it, can hurt this Chelsea team. So I think that, as I said, the amount of bodies Chelsea are committed over, can Mason Mount do a bit of a half a job on Casemiro? Because you just mentioned there, Jorginho doesn't want to jump out here. He doesn't want to go out here. And then
I think that's it.
These spaces. Sorry, let me again erase that.
I think it's a great point.
Leave these spaces in here.
I think it's a great point, and I think you're always asking one of your front players to get in around Casemiro, aren't you? If you're 3 against 2 like that, and your two are quite deep, and you're trying to protect, you're looking for. I guess you mentioned Mason Mount maybe coming across in here. Sterling could possibly do that, but at the moment he's trying to press on this side of the pitch, or Aubameyang. So one of those three has to try and get around and do your job defensively, doesn't he? Didn't happen like that. Casemiro got himself free, plays around the corner, and United are out again.
And they're out. And again, it's runners at the back line, they can't engage.
And they end up with a shot on goal.
Yeah, and these are the moments that Man United really should have took advantage of. You know, the Chelsea, how poor they were defensively.
It was interesting actually in the first half with Man United. They were saying, you can go out wide, we'll leave your spare men as your two wing backs. That's how Chelsea like to line up. United said, we're going to have our strength in numbers in the middle of the pitch. You're not going to play through us. You can go out wide, but you can't play through us. And I thought they set up defensively very well as well. Man United, good press.
You can just see how ready their fullbacks are to go and press. Yeah. With Darlow and Shaw.
And United defensively, Mart's pushed up. Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek. Mart can't get the ball. Jorginho loves getting the ball, doesn't he? He loves coming deep, trying to get it off the back three. Wasn't able to do that because they were heavily marked by those two. And then United always had that spare man. Ball comes into midfield. Who picks it up? There's the spare man.
And that's what we're talking about. Every second ball for Man United in that opening 30 minutes.
It landed at a red shirt.
It landed at a red shirt.
Yeah, it did. It's Casemiro picks it up and United are off again. Intelligent pass again from Casemiro.
Even when they do break the line here, there's no forward pass for Mason Mount. So we do break the line Chelsea break the line with Mount in pockets, but they just don't have it. There's too many Man United bodies around the ball to win the ball back, and then off they go again.
So at this point, what are you thinking? You're in there, you're getting chased around, you know, you're not sure where your position should be. Should you be going to closing tight? Who's changing that? Are you changing that on the pitch? Are you going to the manager saying, hang on a minute, we've got a problem here, we're outnumbered, we're not getting anywhere near the ball, we're in real problems here. So who changes that? Is it you on the pitch or is it the manager should be looking at that and seeing it?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think in the moment, I think the type of player I would be trying to organise, and certainly in that scenario I'd probably try and bring Aubameyang in to give us that extra number in midfield, or at least even the numbers out. And then I'd be talking to the side. Somebody get a message to the gaffer, we need to make a change here. But if the personnel on the pitch were able to adapt the shape within game, I would have tried to have done that within game. I think the personnel that was on the pitch didn't allow for Chelsea to adapt their shape and fix the problems in there.
So it took 36 minutes for Graham Potter then to decide, actually, I need to do something about this, because we hadn't had a kick of the ball for over half an hour. So what did he do? He took off Cucurella, who obviously came from Brighton, where Graham Potter knows him well. Brought Kovacic on, went to a back four, went Chilwell to left, Thiago Silva, Chalobah, Azpilicueta came in here, played Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Sterling, Aubameyang, Mount. So you went to match United up in the middle of the field, and automatically they had some joy doing that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And I think the reason why they had that joy was because they then put two around Casemiro. So Casemiro now has to think about right and left, whereas before he had nothing to think about because we pretty much played the same formation in possession in terms of the pivot, one pivot and two advanced midfielders. And they struggled with that.
So Kovacic comes on, 36th minute, and automatically you can see he's pointing. We're going to a 3. We're 3 in midfield now. And this is literally 30 seconds after coming on. If I just pause it... Now, he's made a little run. I'll highlight him.
Yeah.
There he is. This is your midfield 3. So if I show you the midfield 3, we'll get rid of that. If we highlight Chelsea's midfield 3, there's your midfield 3. All of a sudden, they're man for man in the middle of the field. And it's actually Chelsea who are finding a little bit of space now because Casemiro's got Mason Mount tucked in. He's getting a little bit outnumbered now. Now what does Casemiro do? So it's a game of cat and mouse, really, isn't it, with the two coaches and how they change things up. So Casemiro's now thinking, well, I want to go in there, but actually I've got Mason Mount to deal with here, so it's a really difficult one for me now. What happens? Play it on. He picks up the ball, drives forward, ends up with Chelsea getting a shot away. And that's within 30 seconds of Kovacic coming off the bench.
Already what I like about, if we just pause this, already what I like about Kovacic, he's already taking players out of the game with his movement, already thinking front-footed for Chelsea. So putting United on the back foot. When you're a team that's been on the front foot for 36 minutes in a game, you're full of confidence. Now all of a sudden you're thinking about defending your own goal. The mentality shift.
I actually think Kovacic is Chelsea's best midfield player.
I do.
I think the way he drives past people, the way he takes people on, takes people out of the game, as you quite rightly say, just that run, that 10-yard run, got himself into space and he's driving Chelsea forward. I think he's their best midfield player. I was really surprised that he didn't start the game. So this is again, look at him. I'll just take that back very slightly and just highlight him here. Look at this. Give me the ball. Look at the space that he's in now. Look at this. All of a sudden, from where we were with Man United dominating the middle of the field and having 3v2 and space in there, Casemiro, acres of space, now it's Chelsea. Kovacic has got that space. This time when the ball drops in the middle of the field, it's a Chelsea head that gets on it, Kovacic in space, and away they go. And this is Chelsea on the attack, space for Chilwell out wide, Dalot's trying to recover, and actually this is still first half, another half chance before half time. Aubameyang maybe should go with his head, really.
I think if we go back to where we said, if we go back,
keep going.
Go all the way back. Where's Casemiro when he was occupied?
So he's come from right over here.
So here we are.
With Mason Mount.
So now if we just highlight them, if we highlight Casemiro here, he's having to occupy Mason Mount just in front of him. Which then leaves, if I take that off of him and I highlight, as we said, the spare midfielder that Man United in that first 36 minutes had. Chelsea are going long here. In that first 36-minute period, Man United won every second ball. And as we said, if we play this on, now who's the spare player? The player that Chelsea have just brought onto the pitch. Kovacic, spare player, picking up the ball and then starting an attack from deep. Whereas that was United in that first 36 minutes. But now, with Casemiro being occupied, he then can't get out.
It's really interesting, isn't it, when you've got tactical managers, they really understand the game, they see where the problems are and they highlight them and then they do something about it. Graham Potter, realising that it was a problem for them early on, went with Kovacic in the middle of the field and all of a sudden Chelsea started to get into the ascendancy prior to half-time.
But even the press here from Azpilicueta in the opening, he couldn't get out. He couldn't get out and press, and now Chelsea in the final third, front-footed, pressing. But that's just a minor adaptation in personnel and shape, and all of a sudden you can see the transition of the two teams and momentum flipping. So
we saw United start well. Graham Potter responded, brings Kovacic onto the pitch. Second half, Chelsea starting to get on top. Ten Hag now has a little change. So let's have a look at the team shape. This is how they lined up, and all of a sudden he thought, we're having struggles in the middle of the field. I know what we'll do. We'll bring Sancho off, and we'll bring Fred onto the pitch. So he brought Fred in alongside Casemiro, went to that 2 in there, brought Fernandes out to the left-hand side, and Eriksen in there. All of a sudden, that little bit more protection in front of United's back four. Fred and Casemiro had played together many times for Brazil, and it became a really even second half after that change by Erik Ten Hag. It came a bit of a stalemate, actually, in the second half. It wasn't a great match as such, but it was interesting, wasn't it, tactically?
It was, and I mean, it was a smart move. I think Chelsea were getting more of the openings with their two advanced midfielders. Now they've just evened it up in midfield, and now it's about a mistake that's going to happen in the game to get a goal from it. So before, when it was quite open and United dominated, Chelsea had their spell. Now you're like for like in terms of formations, in terms of personnel. It will now come down to an individual error.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what happened, because for all your life it looked like it was going to finish 0-0, didn't it? The game, there wasn't an awful lot in it until this happened. McTominay's come off the bench.
Hero in midweek.
We'll play this slowly. We'll play this slowly. Well, exactly. He was, absolutely. Now this is up against MRBEAR, another Chelsea sub. Arms around him. I don't think he can have any complaints, can he? It's a penalty.
Not in a modern game. I think
you used to be able to.
It's so difficult. You can see here, but he's got both of his arms wrapped around MRBEAR here. But it's so difficult being a blocker, which is what we would call, that first line.
Was that your job?
It was, and I was horrible at it. I was really, really bad, because it's difficult when somebody's running on you and you're doing your utmost to try and stop them. You do need your arms, to try and
you're taught that,
put them
aren't
off.
you?
You are.
You are
now
taught that.
You're taught not to use it and put your arms behind your back.
It's really difficult, isn't it?
But as I say, in a modern game, it's a definite penalty.
So what do you do? Let him run?
You can't. You've got to try and run with him, but you've got to, across him so he runs into you and just try and stand big. A bit like the Lloris and Wilson scenario, where he runs into you.
No, true.
It doesn't become a foul. So, yeah, it's really difficult to defend those scenarios.
But
it's a penalty. And they could have had Casemiro could have had a free header, so he's kind of running back towards goal. And
this is a closer look. This is face to face. That's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he's not even looking at the ball. He's not even looking at the ball, McTominay. All he's thinking about is the man, isn't he?
He is, and I think he's in the wrong position. I mean, you give yourself a slight chance by just he's going to run towards the near post. That's his job. That's MRBEAR's job, to run towards the near. The fact that he's on the opposite side gives MRBEAR that half a yard that then, he is on the back foot and that is having to use his arms to pull him down. And
Michael Owen was on last week, said about taking penalties, said always have a look at the goalkeeper. Keep your eyes on the goalkeeper and see what his movements are. Jorginho, eyes on the goalkeeper. I mean, he's one of the best, isn't he, Jorginho, at taking penalties? I couldn't do that. Jumping in front of you, taking a
I was nervy watching that one. I was.
I bet you are.
That jump, it's one
scares
of those.
It scares me as well when he does that. United showed a lot of character, and they did come back, and it was that man Casemiro who had a lot of joy in the opening half an hour. He's having a bigger influence every week, isn't he, at Man United? And he's the one that found the equaliser. And it was actually a second phase, because Chelsea deal with the first one. They deal with the second one into the box and they clear the danger. United recycle. Yeah, pause it. Yeah.
Matt,
take it back.
This is fine.
Right there.
You just see a Chelsea as they come out, as that back line comes out. They're not locking on. They're not thinking about defending now.
So all they're thinking, I think at this point, all they're thinking is, can I get to the line? Can I get to maybe the 18-yard line? That's what they're thinking, aren't they? Just let's clear the box.
And then if you just let it slowly, if we roll it a little bit slowly, you start to see how they outnumber Chilwell 2-for-1 here. If you just pause it here, so now you draw a circle around the two of them.
Yeah. So let's highlight the two. So let's 1, 2.
Now you've got 2v1 at the back post on Chilwell, who's now has recognised the danger, has got deeper than the whole of the Chelsea back line. And he's not the biggest.
He's played them on side, hasn't he?
He's played them all on side, and he's not the biggest. So now he's got to compete with, two strong, powerful midfielders. And don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic header, the power he gets on that Casemiro. But I'm no goalkeeping expert, but I think Kepa has to have a stronger arm on that. It's a great header. I mean, he gets up really well, directed towards goal. But for me, as I say, I'm not a goalkeeping expert.
Once he gets that
hand's just too soft for me.
He gets a good hand on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's just a bit weak.
Is it over the line? Or goal decision system?
It is.
Tells you it is. If we look at it, he gets his hand on it.
Gambling, isn't he, Kepa?
And it is. It's over the line. So the late equaliser for Man United, and great celebrations as well from Casemiro. He enjoyed that one.
He did. It's what you like. I love to see this from players. I love this.
Yeah.
The celebration like this with the fans, the passion behind the celebration and what it means, because it took a while for him to get into that team.
And they don't. These two teams here that don't score many goals. If we have a look at this, I mean, this is goals scored. Man City lead the way in the Premier League, 36. Look at Chelsea and Man United. Less than half of that total, just 16 goals each. It's not enough, is it?
Not if you want to win the league. Not if you want to win the league and certainly be up there. I don't think they score enough. We've seen Potter at Brighton. They spoke about how many chances he created. At Chelsea, we haven't actually created that many chances this season. I think the United front four is fantastic, but they're just erratic in that area.
They are,
Hence probably why the amount of goals they've scored. Rashford, he gets himself into some really good positions and just isn't able to execute.
I know they need.